Make sure. Okay. Can y'all hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me. Let's see. I can hear the music. Let's see. Let me know. Okay, I can hear myself. Okay. All right. I must have accidentally hit the mute button. All right. So there's a young lady that emailed me, and she and I were communicating back and forth. Um, and I shared a video with her. I shared a video with her that I'm going to share with y'all. I'm going to put the link in the chat. I want you to go watch it before I break down. Why am I going to do before I break it down? I'm probably going to break it down on the next podcast. Why do I want y'all to look at it first? I want you to look at it first, and then I want you to come back with questions because I know you will have questions. I also know you will formulate some opinions and some thoughts. What am I sending over? I'm sending over the link to a video from a gang in Atlanta. It was a robbery ring in Atlanta back in 21, 22, 23, where 25 people got indicted. They were called the drug rich gang. People came from all over to descend to rob with these people, right? So there's a lot that goes into how they planned, how they communicated, how they kicked doors in, how they chose the houses, how they look for celebrities, and what they did when they could find a celebrity and when they couldn't. I am sharing this because we were told some things about Shedeur's robbery, right? We were told that they likely had a boss. I want you to keep that in mind when you're listening and paying attention. We were told that they were armed and dangerous. I want you to keep that in mind. We were told that Shedeur was just a random target. I want you to keep that in mind on how these gangs operate. That's what the video is about, right? And just in case y'all don't know, the area where they originated was Stone Mountain, Georgia. Just in case you likely don't know, Stone Mountain, Georgia is DeKalb County where the three robbers were arrested. All right. So there's a lot there. And I want y'all to understand the ages of the people in the video, the ages of the people arrested, the close proximity to where they live. So it's really good. So I'm going to share the link in the chat, and I want y'all to go look at it. And I'm going to, and I know y'all gonna hit me up. You're gonna email me. You're gonna put comments somewhere. Somebody sent me messages at the store talking about it. So people finding me every way they can. And I'm going to share the link right now. Now, the documentary was done by Swamp Stories. If y'all follow Swamp Stories, they do documentaries on gangs. This is very, very good. I want you to pay attention to how long it took them to get caught, how many people involved, the whole setup, right? How they treated each other, right? And how they moved and the places they went to commit crimes and where they didn't go to commit crimes. All of that, I want y'all to notice that because that's how a lot of these types of rings operate. And unfortunately, the city of Atlanta, there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of Louis bags. So it's car ring thefts. In fact, in Brookhaven, it was a car ring theft was listed as a gang of thieves that were arrested around the same time the robbery was being committed at Shedeur's house, probably like a day or two different. I didn't see any other robberies, but I saw a car ring theft running through Brookhaven. It's all kind of robbery thefts, right? People rob houses, they rob businesses, they rob stores, they rob cars. So this documentary, I think, will be eye-opening because Nicole responded and said this was very good. It's very good. Y'all want y'all to watch it first, and then we're going to break it down on a different. We're going to talk about it after I break it down on a different podcast episode, probably tomorrow. And I know you'll have questions, and I know you'll have comments that you want to share. All right, so let me get the link to that, and I will send that in the comments, and then we can get going with today's conversation. Shout out to the Panthers. Fortunately, they got eliminated. They got eliminated from playoff contention, and our guy, unfortunately, was the last receiver to catch a pass before the game ended with 7 seconds left, and it didn't go well. Bryce Young said he's proud of these guys. So, I just, I hate it for him because people talked about how he was underutilized, right? And when he got the opportunity, I saw 2 of the opportunities, and one was overthrown, and then to the left, and then the other one to the right. He still looked like 30 to 40 yards away from the end zone, and he touched it, but he couldn't hold on to it. So I wish him well. I wish him well. So I hope he enjoyed his first playoff run. I don't know if y'all know, but they had Jimmy Horn Jr. playing pitch and catch before the game with the fans in the stadium. The Panthers also brought in, hold on one second. Let me type this. I'm putting the link in there, so I want y'all to know. DRG. That's what it says. Drug Rich Game. Please watch it. We'll be back to talk about it tomorrow. All right. So there we go. All right. So they brought in Cam Newton, the 2015 MVP for the Panthers. They brought in Cam Newton. Thank you, Nikki, for the message about they brought him in, which was good, right? I hadn't seen him with the Panthers since he left there. They brought him back. He did his Superman pose, and I thought it was good that they brought him back. Cam, the Panthers fans still love Cam to this day. Carolina not that far from Atlanta, so it's just Atlanta fans love him and wondered why he never played for Atlanta. He said he felt like the owner of the Falcons that he kind of was neighbors with just didn't like him. So shout out to Cam for getting that opportunity. Speaking of Atlanta, I have a bunch of things to talk about. My segment that I said, remember I was thinking about the name of my segment because I'm always talking about quarterbacks, Quarterback Kings. That's what it's going to be, Quarterback Kings. So welcome to a podcast. We got a segment for Quarterback Kings. See, Jimmy isn't a quarterback. So now we're going to pivot to the quarterbacks. Arthur Blank, who is the owner of the Falcons, who fired the head coach Raheem Morris, who fired the GM unjustly, Tony Fontenot, who came over from the Saints, said that that's kind of the same thing as Haslam, that we owe it to the fans to step up and make the right decisions. Now, the latest on Atlanta is Matt Ryan will be spending time with Cam Ward a lot of time together. The former Matt Ryan, who's a GOAT in Atlanta, will be spending time with the current QB1 that the owner came out and said Cam Ward is QB1. Why is that huge? Because the owner brought in Kirk Cousins in March of the year that Cam, I keep saying Cam, Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix Jr. was drafted. Then Michael Penix Jr., so that was in March. Michael Penix Jr. was drafted in April, and it just caused all kind of confusion. And I honestly, my personal opinion is it was wrong for the owner to fire Raheem Morris and the GM. Why? Because the owner told the head coach, well, I brought in Kirk Cousins and the GM drafted Michael Penix Jr., so I'm going to let you decide who to start. So he was just hired. He was like a first-year coach. So what did he do? He started Michael Penix Jr. No, he started Kirk Cousins, and it was a disaster. So he trying to appease the person that brought in Kirk Cousins, and guess what? He got fired because Kirk Cousins lost to the Jets. You see how that worked? So people are saying Raheem Morris got set up. People are saying the GM got set up. I say it don't matter. What the hell Arthur Blank say? Yes, he can say now that Michael Penix Jr. is QB1. Yes, he can say, yes, we owe it to the fans. Just like Haslam, of course you owe it to the fans. We make this go around. And none of it matters. It depends on who the coach is going to be. Are you going to hire somebody like Harbaugh, who just got fired from Baltimore because he kept letting Lamar down? And then they rewarded the guy who botched the AFC Championship, Mark Andrews. So I don't care what he say. I don't care who he give money to. I care how they treat Michael Penix Jr. because I am of the impression that the Falcons did not want to win with Michael Penix Jr. And because the owner brought in Kirk Cousins, I felt like the offensive coordinator undermined the head coach with these predictable plays so Michael Penix Jr. could get the blame. So they try to bench him, just like Shedeur. And when that didn't work, because the fans, just like the fans stepped up for Shedeur, they stepped up for Michael Penix Jr. And then what happened? Michael Penix Jr. ends up getting an ACL tear for 9 to 12 months. So for the owner to say Michael Penix Jr. is the starter, you the reason he wasn't the starter year one, because you wanted an overpaid, grossly overpaid Kirk Cousins. And I am of the opinion that Arthur Blank allowed that malfeasance to happen, that confusion to happen, by putting pressure on his first year head coach to be a puppet. So I don't care if he says that Michael Penix Jr. is QB1 when he out with a ACL tear for 9 to 12 months. Matt Ryan can call him every day. If he can't play, who cares? And if they get a coach like Harbaugh, who set up Lamar, who cares? Pay attention to who the head coach is in Atlanta. All right, moving on. Shout out to, we're gonna do the quarterback kings in the pros first, then we'll grab to college. Okay, so shout out to Shedeur. I saw he posted on his backup account. Didn't know he had a backup account. It's that Too Legendary account, which is named after his merch store, toolegendary.com. I think it was his page that posted a cute photo of the family with Shiloh with the Carolina sweatshirt on, because, you know, he went to Carolina. Shedeur was still in high school. He had on his legendary shirt back then. And then it was Bucky, and Coach Prime had on the Trinity TT, the sweatshirt from the high school. So it was just nice to look back at that. Again, watch the video. I dropped the link. Drug Rich Game. You're going to learn a lot. And you're going to have questions and you're going to have comments as it relates to the robbery for, unfortunately, the robbery for hire in Shedeur Sanders' home. I am of the impression that the case needs to be reopened in Ohio, because there was ample motive for people within Berea, within the Browns organization, who didn't want Shedeur there, didn't want Shedeur to be the quarterback, who were upset that Dylan wasn't playing, that Shedeur was. We watched the Shedeur get abused. Abuse is a motive. If you can abuse somebody, then you have a motive to harm them, to try to traumatize them. That's what you're going to learn from the Drug Rich Gang documentary, how it affected the victims of the robberies. And one was a professional football player for the Falcons. Watch the documentary. The link is in the comments. All right. So I am of the opinion that there was ample motive by numerous people who worked together to try to run off, if you will, harass Shedeur Sanders. So the case can't be closed, not when you have the getaway driver leaving clues on his social media. That needs to be open. And at the least, you can't ignore that the clues point to Oregon football when Shedeur Sanders was being prevented from even developing as a quarterback, because Stefanski didn't want Shedeur to hit the field over Dylan, because Stefanski preferred Dylan, because Dylan's fiance said everybody in the building wants Dylan to play, which means everybody in the building is against Shedeur. And that came from his fiance, and he played for Oregon. And the clues on the social media for the getaway driver that was arrested with thousands in cash point to Oregon football, not Portland, Oregon, not basketball, not hockey, not tennis, not cross country track, not skiing, football. And it's important to follow those trails. And you have a laundry list. There are at least 7 or 8 people you can interview. You can interview the dirt divers, Batonio and Jack Conklin, who were caught dirt diving. You can interview Cam Robinson and 72, who allowed Shedeur to get hit and ran their guys into Shedeur. You can interview Jared Judy, investigate Jerry Jeudy, who was what? Underperforming on purpose when Shedeur was the quarterback. You have to investigate Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, who manipulated the roster in the depth chart. Even when Andrew Berry brought in more linemen, he refused to play them like Cornelius Lucas and Kendrick Green. He refused to bench the worst players that were allowing Shedeur to get hit. Then what about Blake Whiteheart that crushed Shedeur's throwing hand? So Dylan had to come back in, but the fans weren't having it. Thankfully, Shedeur could come back out and throw. And I don't know how. He had to be in immense pain because they ripped his nail off. And it seems that the Browns did more to protect Blake Whiteheart and sweep the issue under the rug than they did to protect Shedeur in the pocket, on the field, and off the field. And you have to interview Dylan's girlfriend, fiance, because she said everybody in the building wants Shedeur to play. So you have to interview everybody in the building. And you have to interview the young lady who's on the payroll by the Browns, who was following Shedeur around in street clothes, running up to him when Shiloh is pretending to be Shedeur and recording. It says, oh, there you go. You know I have to keep tabs on you so you don't get in trouble. And you should have seen the look on Shedeur's face. And he was in street clothes. And you have to interview the owner of the Browns, because he allowed Stefanski to abuse Shedeur from the spring, the summer, the fall, and until he was fired. And the owner can say we should have won more than 5 games. Why did you not fire Stefanski, who at the time had only won 5 games in 2 years? And the owner went on the record and said Stefanski did good work for us. When? So what was Stefanski's real job? Because all he did was dehumanize Shedeur. Abuse is motive to harm, harass, traumatize. Robberies in your home are traumatic. They throw you off. They make you uncomfortable. And it seems like allowing Shedeur to be sacked and not protecting him or rotating to put in the new people that the GM brought in, which meant you were undermining the GM. You should have been fired. And the owner didn't act. That's gross negligence. So everybody in the building needs to be investigated for who hired these criminals. Because when you watch the documentary about robbery, rings, and thieves, you're going to learn something about how they pick their victims and where their victims are in close proximity from where they originate. And since the driver was arrested days after the robbery with large thousands plural in cash, you know he had to split it 4 ways. So they all had thousands. And people are like, why would they go to Ohio? I'm like, because they made it lucrative. Thousands. Each of them had thousands. And the last one might be using his thousands to hide out. Thousands. And the police said it's a robbery for hire, and they proved it. You arrest the driver with thousands in cash, the same driver that has clues on his social media pointing to Oregon football. They called somebody. You couldn't use geofencing. You couldn't use contact tracing. It's almost like they didn't want to. They didn't want. It's like they looked into it and they realized this is an inside job with very specific information, just like the prank. Proprietary information on when Bucky would be filming. Proprietary information that an employee gives to his employer because Shedeur lived in a rental that was not in his name. Watch Drug Rich Gang documentary. They tried to find Future to rob him and they couldn't. Yeah. Just like, no, they shouldn't have been able to find Shedeur. They talk about how they case houses. They talk about how they picked houses. And then you're going to learn something about how they communicate when you have 25 people committing robberies. How do you think they communicate? You had people coming from out of town to rob with them. How do you think they communicate? Social media, where the clues were pointing to Oregon football. So that's that on that. So let me just keep going. All right. So we pray that they reopen the case and investigate inside the Browns organization, because there is ample evidence, and you can never forget what Dylan's fiance said. Everybody in the building wants Dylan to play, which meant everybody in the building was against Shedeur. So there is motive within the Browns organization. So I pray they reopen and properly investigate and hold whoever decided to pony up thousands in cash to entice people to drive 22 hours round trip for 12 minutes. And since the robbers supposedly went back to the hotel, it is highly possible that they were asked to get certain things that mattered to Shedeur, or that could be used to humiliate Shedeur, which is why they ransacked his bedroom and went into another room and didn't even want to go in there and take anything. So they were sent on a specific mission. They weren't just grabbing things. So they likely, when they got paid, exchanged the goods they took from Shedeur's house, in particular the contents of his nightstand and those bags, to the people who paid them to drive 22 hours to traumatize Shedeur Sanders, make him uncomfortable, maybe make him want to quit because he took his job, or they don't want him to be QB1 because he's black, or they don't want him to be there because they want to draft Arch Manning, and if Shedeur comes and balls out, then that's going to cause a problem because the fans going to like Shedeur. Go investigate. There's ample motive, and there's numerous people to talk to. Everybody in the building. All right. So moving on. Moving on. All right. So the Browns say they're going to get somebody to come in. Well, the Browns didn't say it. Somebody who's an analyst suggests or expects the Browns to hire Brandon Ayuk, who plays for the 49ers. Now, he's had several injuries. They voided his guarantees because he was injured and absent for so long. His contract, as you can see here, was for 4 years, $100 million. That was his extension. He's been in the league from like 2018 to 2019. He went to Arizona State, right? So they know they need a wide receiver. I don't know why this guy would be it, because he's good when he's healthy. But the 49ers had to void his guarantees because he's been injured and out and absent for so long. So suddenly this is supposed to be the person they want to pair up with Shedeur. And it just seems like the Browns are just constantly trying to fail Shedeur, like they did when they brought in Jerry Jeudy. Shedeur wasn't even there yet. So I don't know. Maybe they want to fail the quarterback before him, which was who? Deshaun Watson. Why would you bring this guy in if the 49ers had to void his contract? I mean, his guarantees, because he's been injured for so long. Because he's cheap. Because they said he's low, he has high value but low cost. Once again, people who are vulnerable, somebody that'll do anything for you, because these people over here in California voided my contract. So I'm getting a second lease on life if the Browns pick me up. But guess what that means? They also can turn you into a puppet, like Jerry Jeudy, who was also vulnerable because he was fired from the Browns. From the Broncos. And the Browns gave Jerry Jeudy at first $28 million fully guaranteed on a $53 million contract. Then what did they do? They upped it to $41 million. And what the hell did he do to deserve that? We saw what he did this year. Intentionally underperform, harass Shedeur like everybody else. Because what did Dylan's fiance say? Everybody in the building wants Dylan to play. And Jerry Jeudy is a part of everybody. And we saw his underperformance, his intentional underperformance. So this guy, to me, is in a vulnerable situation. They don't know if he's good. The 49ers like, nah, we out. We took his guarantees away, and here come the Browns, salivating to pair him with Shedeur. It said that specifically. Why you just can't go in the draft and get somebody with your first round pick like Cornell Tate? Why do we have to get somebody that's vulnerable? Do you understand what I'm saying? And when Shedeur was vulnerable, they didn't even want him. They wanted him to go to Baltimore. They wanted him to go to Philly. He was vulnerable. They didn't even want him. Shedeur went there because they pre-drafted him extensively. And that's like an employer interviewing you over 8 interviews and suddenly coming back and saying, we want to hire you, but as the entry level. And you like, excuse me? You know what? I'm going to take this job. I'm going to take this job because I'm going to see what the hell is going on over here. And we saw what happened. We saw what happened. You saw how the organization shunned him. Barry let it happen. Haslam let it happen. And this they want to get next. They don't want to use one of their first round picks to get like a Cornell Tate. Make that make sense. So that's the latest. There is one conversation about someone in the Browns organization expecting to get this guy. I'm thinking Andrew Berry. And I'm not saying he might not be good, but then nobody knows. Just like Jerry Jeudy, nobody knows. And look at Jerry Jeudy leading the league in drop passes. If this was the Manning kid they had to plan for, do you think they would get this guy to pair with QB1? No, they would get Isaiah Bond because that's what they did. Somebody he can throw with. Go get Jimmy Horn Jr. Go get LeJohn. Go get Will Shepherd. All right, so that's that on this guy. Now let's talk about Harbaugh for a minute. Let me know in the comments what you think about Brandon Ayuk. Let me know what you think about him pairing up in Cleveland. I say no. They already got a Jerry Jeudy. Nobody else. No, nobody else. Even on the football side, no. And if he's vulnerable, they're gonna try to turn him into a puppet. Absolutely not. Then it'll be him and Jerry Jeudy. No, I say no. Let me know your thoughts. You might see something I don't see. All right, so it's a hard pass on that for me. I say use that first round pick to get a Cornell Tate if it ain't Cornell Tate. If not, then just like you got Isaiah Bond from Texas who was paired up with Arch Manning at Texas, why don't you get somebody Shedeur Sanders was paired up with from Colorado? Is that just too much common sense? Maybe who would y'all pair Shedeur up with right now? Some people say leave LeJohn where he is, and I have a story about that, so that might be right. Some people say leave Jimmy Horn Jr. where he is because he's doing well, and they love him, and they do. I hope they still do. Then what about Will Shepherd? We know Travis can't move. We know that. They probably not going to move Travis. But if you're going to sign this guy who's pushed toward free agency because they took his guarantees and give him $10 million, why can't you just get a first round pick that makes $10 million this year for $40 million total? So you want to get somebody for 1 year. You don't want to encourage stability. You want to just keep it chaotic. Let me know your thoughts. All right. So I said I had a story about LeJohn. Well, it's not about LeJohn. It's about Baltimore. All right. So y'all know Harbaugh is gone. Now Monken is gone. He should have gone first. Supposedly Zach Orr is on the way out. And they interviewed, the Ravens completed their interview with Kevin Stefanski. Again, we just swapping bad for bad. We swapping Harbaugh, who sabotaged Lamar and want to send him to Cleveland. Thank God, I think they moving away from that. And then they wanted Stefanski to come over where Lamar is. I'm like, no, hell no. If he has a problem with black quarterbacks, then let him go coach a team that does not have a black starting quarterback. Fair enough, right? I mean, they should be kicked out the league for being racist, but they don't seem to want to do that. So that's plan B. All right, so Harbaugh wants $20 million to coach, and he wants his own GM. He wants a couple things. Tony Grossi found out what it is he wanted. I think when Tony Grossi found this out, Harbaugh did not want to come to Cleveland. No other team has talked about this. Harbaugh seems to be spending time he wants to go spend time and watch film on Cam Ward and Jackson Dart. And he's going to go to New York and he's going to go to Tennessee. I didn't hear anybody talk about these demands other than a Browns insider, Tony Grossi. It said Tony has found out what John Harbaugh's requirements are to be interested in his next head coach job. $20 million per year, $10 million staff budget, total authority over the roster, and would like to select his own GM. I said, okay, if this is what he's asking for, and Cleveland heard this, he's not getting the job. For one, I do not believe that Haslam wants to part ways with Andrew Berry just yet. Andrew Berry serves a purpose. Andrew Berry seems to have a knack for getting players who are vulnerable, like Quinshon Judkins, Isaiah Bond. I'm not putting shit on there because they try to send him elsewhere. Jerry Jeudy, Odell Beckham Jr., and paying them for cheap. It's probably some more people, but, probably Cam Robinson and KT Levison, if I had to guess, right? People like that. He seems to have a knack for that. And he seems to be comfortable with devaluing them, right? And he seems to be comfortable with passing on Shedeur Sanders as a franchise quarterback at number 2 overall and using the first pick for Mason Graham and Carson Swessinger, who was the second round. I could see Carson Swessinger, but also, too, Harold Fanning Jr. was devalued. He was a 3rd round pick. He's too good. I've noticed something about Andrew Berry. He has a knack for that, devaluing players, and it just seems to me that the players he devalues are Black. And the ones that get prioritized in the draft with the high picks and the guaranteed contract, fully, 2nd round pick, fully guaranteed, only 2 players, one with Carson Swessinger. So the first 2 people in the draft selected by the Browns were white. It was supposed to be Shedeur, but they passed on him. And then you saw how they treated Shedeur when he got there. And then Harold Fanning Jr. And you saw how Stefanski gloated or glazed, as they say now, was glazing over Carson Swessinger, but he didn't have all of that for Harold Fanning Jr. You saw how he let Carson Swessinger play the hero so he could get Rookie Defensive Player of the Year, playing with blood on his clothes. But we saw Harold Fanning Jr. get shut down, even though he could walk off the field in his own accord, so he don't get the hero stats. So Stefanski clearly has some type of prejudice when it comes to Black players, unless it's Jerry Jeudy possibly, while he's underperforming. What did Tommy Rees say? I love Jerry Jeudy. We're going to feature him more after he failed. And he still has the job. So this is what Harbaugh wants. He said this out loud because he didn't want to come to Cleveland, and good. Now, the Browns have come out since I start putting this podcast together about Harbaugh, said that they have let all head coaches know that their intent is to retain the defensive coordinator, Schwartz, as the head coach. And I want you to understand what's concerning about that. Kevin Stefanski hired Schwartz. It's a hard pass for me. But that's who they're going to go with. They didn't go, another group of people passed on Tommy Rees. It seems that the Browns have landed on the person Stefanski hired. I mean, it just gives that all Haslam is out here looking for is a Stefanski. So Stefanski setting up Shedeur, Harbaugh setting up Lamar. Ooh, let me go get Harbaugh, but he don't want to come there. And if I'm Harbaugh, I want to go, let me go coach a white quarterback because I'm going to get busted if I do the same thing to a different quarterback that's Black. Absolutely. Absolutely. People are catching on to the racism within the league. Absolutely. The racism to rig games, the racism to suppress Black quarterbacks. Yeah, people catching on. How they want to dumb down the game for a check down king so they can bypass people like Shedeur, Shambliss, Dante Moore. Yeah, people catching on. So Harbaugh is smart to move on. But Tennessee, the Ravens players are encouraging Lamar Jackson to be more vocal in the decisions with the game, as he should be. And the fact that he didn't even have that as a 2-time MVP. Josh Allen got it, right? And he only had 1 MVP. and it's Lamar's. You understand? So hopefully Lamar becomes more vocal. I was very proud of him when he was at the podium, and I still kind of feel like there was some kind of shout out to Shedeur, but maybe it wasn't. But he spoke the truth. He held Harbaugh accountable. And there is a clip that immediately after the Steelers game, Harbaugh thought he was just going to go up to Lamar and start touching all over him like Haslam was touching on Coach Prime. And the way Stefanski was touching on Shedeur after setting him up. And he walked right past him like, shout out to Lamar. So who the Ravens hire will tell you if they're serious about Lamar or if they just keeping him over there. Who Arthur Blank decides to hire as his GM and head coach, and if he decides to retain his offensive coordinator, will tell you how serious he is about Michael Penix Jr. because I can say anything right now. Like a criminal in jail who can't leave because Michael Penix Jr. is injured for 9 to 12 months with an ACL tear. I can gas you up until you hit that field. Pay attention. And fans are starting to catch on. So where it pertains to the wide receivers in Baltimore, it seems that the guy that used to be the go-to wide receiver one with Deshaun, who was in Baltimore, I had a feeling he was wide receiver 3, number 1. I forget his name, DeAndre Hopkins. He said a goodbye in his social media, which because he's only had like a 1 or 2 year contract, and I had a feeling this would be his last year. Now, LeJohntay was on the depth chart behind him. So could this mean that now LeJohntay becomes wide receiver 3, number 1, which is like Isaiah Bond? So just keep that in mind. LeJohntay, in my opinion, I thought he did really well with Baltimore, and the person in front of him is moving on. So maybe, LeJohntay, his contract is easy to maneuver. Maybe they keep him and make him a wide receiver 1 or bring him as wide receiver 2, a wide receiver 1, meaning you're the starter. They have 1, 2, or 3. He's a slot, I guess. But the way he played against Baylor, he wasn't giving slot. Whatever, I think get him. That's what I mean. They have a lot of options that they could get good people in Cleveland, but they seem to be more interested in targeting receivers that are vulnerable and willing to be leverage used against them, or coaches that already sabotage another black quarterback. That's what it's giving. I'm not going to lie to you. That's just what it's giving. And Schwartz was hired by Stefanski. So same thing, right? He might be willing to mess it up again. Again, everybody in the building, everybody, including Schwartz. Okay, so that's Baltimore. Now, so we talked about Ayuk. Let me know what y'all think. We talked about Harbaugh. I let y'all know, no. And and we talked about Michael Penix Jr. Let's move on to college real fast. All right, so the college guys, the quarterback kings in college. Y'all already know Shambliss has declared for the draft. They're already trying to make him a day 2 athlete. It seems to me that the NFL is, because of 17 to 32, they don't appear with their actions. The evidence is there. They're just not black quarterback friendly right now. And what it seems to me is the black quarterbacks have picked up on that, right? Look at what happened with Shedeur, Milroe, Cam Ward sacked 55 times. The way they've been hit, Jordan Love, look at Michael Penix Jr. with the ACL tear. Look at Pat Mahomes, right? Made it harder for Pat Mahomes to come out. So Shambliss is coming out. Look, we're going to have to keep an eye on this because, this kid put up numbers. He's good. People are saying he was the story in college football and he would be next year. That's why the NCAA denied his waiver. Could it be possible the NCAA and the NFL, who does not appear to be black quarterback friendly right now, especially starting quarterbacks 17 to 32, are working together to make sure that the Manning kid has an easy path to number 1 next year? Because Trinidad Shambliss would have been competition just like the others that decided to stay back. So we'll see. Now, one thing I can say about Trinidad, that's a fighter. He came from D2 ball, might have played at a JUCO, don't know. The point is, he ain't worried about none of that. Fine. You don't want me to go back to school, then I'm gonna go to the league and I'm gonna elevate there just like I did here. Facts. But will they devalue him? It already seems like, oh, he's a day two. How is he day two and he in the playoffs? How is he day two? Again, not black quarterback, starting quarterback friendly. Not black quarterback friendly at all. But the more athletic you are, the more popular you are, the more exciting that fans want to see, the more you can be a threat to the Manning kid getting to the throne. It seems like the more you get devalued. So pay attention, because if Ole Miss came this far, are they the number one team in the SEC? Then how the hell is the number one team in the SEC, the quarterback, a day two athlete? I don't know the standings of the SEC. Let me look right fast. SEC standings football. I didn't even look at that. And understand this. Speaking of the SEC, no, let's see Georgia. How does Georgia first? Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss. So number 3. So Georgia's quarterback, Ty Simpson. They don't even talk about him. He's second. Ole Miss. They all have the same conference record. Overall, Ole Miss is 13-2. Again, why is Georgia number 1? Alabama is 11-4 overall, and Georgia is 12-2. Why is Ole Miss listed as number 3 when they're 9-0 at home? They won the most away games. Oh, because Alabama lost an away game, Ole Miss lost an away game, and Georgia didn't lose in it. You see what I'm talking about? Anyway, speaking of college quarterbacks, speaking of college kings, I have Presidente, Keelan Russell. He has shared that he is returning to Alabama. Remember Keelan Russell, before not too long ago, had on the Coach Prime t-shirt when he was buying his mom the Mercedes-Benz, with his NIL money. And I told y'all he wants to come to Colorado. I knew when he did that, and they benched him because he threw an interception in practice. And I knew they were trying to push him back. He a 5-star. They wanted to push him back. Well, he decided, maybe since Ty Simpson is supposed to be declaring for the draft, that he going to stay at Alabama. I wish he would leave, but good luck to Keelan Russell. I hope they treat him fairly. That's my hope and prayer. I don't know. Speaking of treating quarterbacks fairly, let's move on to Oregon. All right, Dante Moore. He did a press conference. I could barely hear it. He hasn't decided that I know of whether he's coming out or not. But Oregon has set up an interview and a visit for Dylan Raiola from Nebraska to come and visit. What the hell does that sound like? Sound like it don't matter what he want to do. Oregon is moving on. So my hope for Dante Moore, hop the portal, get the bag, and go to a school and run it back, right? Because right now there's like he could come number 2 off the board, and that's surprising. But they said that about Shedeur. I don't know if you could trust it. They like, oh, he could go to the Jets. They don't want Aaron Glenn to win. Why would he want to go to the Jets, right? So he has to strategize and figure out. And to me, it's safer if he knows that he has representation. If he learns that there are schools that want him to come play and they can give up that money, stay in school. That's the answer. Get the bag and stay in school. Now, it was rumored that Trinidad wanted to come back the 6th year, right? Now, it's unfair because Diego Pavia got a 7th year, right? And he won the Johnny Unitas Award and went back to school. And he going to have a 7th year. But they denied Chambliss a 6th year. And people are upset about that because people want to watch him play again. So they are forcing him to come out this year where they're already trying to devalue him like they did Shedeur. Pay attention to Chambliss. All right. Then I saw Julian Lewis. I posted it on social media on my community page. He clearly is sitting in the number 1 spot. Ryan Starr posted a photo on a visit at Ohio State with, is it Ryan Day, the head coach? So apparently, a lot of Colorado's players are being picked up by good schools. London Merritt picked up by Clemson. I think, was it Cam McHale had offers from like 20 schools. Terrell Timmons Jr. had offers for like 15 or 20 schools. He over there taking photo after photo because he visited. And I'm not mad at him. Let them get that love, right? And now we have Ryan Staub meeting with taking a photo with Ryan Day on a visit. I don't know where Dominique Ponder is. Unfortunately, I'm not sure. It just proves that Colorado had a lot of talent, and the Big 12 really did work to let people know, don't come to Colorado. It proves that Colorado had a lot of talent, and the OC and the DC squandered it. It proves that Coach Prime was between a rock and a hard place, because I'm assuming he hired the OC in DC. But the players were talented. That's why schools are picking them up like that. Now, one kid we're looking at getting is flipping from Tennessee to Colorado. Boo Carter. They're saying right now, Coach Prime is the portal king because he's getting all of these players. We got somebody from Notre Dame, a cornerback from Notre Dame. Now, Boo Carter seems to be flipping over to Colorado. I'm not upset. I'm not upset at all. And a lot of kids seem to be coming over. So the band is getting back together. It's just with different members. You know how, let me think of a popular group band. New Edition. That's just the only one I can think of. You know how New Edition was changing out members, like, one time it was like Bobby Brown, and then he wasn't Bobby Brown, then it was Johnny Gill, then it was all of them. Like that. like that. So it's a lot of change happening. And then eventually, everybody gonna be over there. So I'm excited to see what they put together. Juju was at the game, a basketball game. He QB1, looked like his little girlfriend. Okay. Told y'all he had a girlfriend up there. When I saw him, day after Christmas, luggage talking about he coming back to school. I'm like, oh, that's right, he got the little girlfriend. So QB1, putting in the work with the team. And want to get everybody together. Now, as far as I know, the receivers are still intact. The squad that came in together, the freshmen. We still have Gibson, we still have Farrakhan, and we still have JoJo. That's good enough for me. And then we're going to plug in some other people. I heard we're getting people from other schools, so perfect, right? All right, so is that everybody? I think that might be everybody on the college QB front. I don't know what Dominique Ponder is, but I'm going to look into it. Talked about Colorado, talked about Presidente, which is Keelan Russell. Dante Moore, please go back to school, get the bag, and screw Oregon. Go somewhere else and run it back up and let them pay you. Because if they bring in Dylan Raiola, they doing exactly what I said they're going to do. This is why I don't want black quarterbacks going to Oregon. I don't. They trying to force him out. They working. They working with, who they working with. You know who they working with. And it ain't the NCAA. You know who they working with. You see where Dylan ended up as an undrafted free agent. Question, who y'all got in the college football playoffs? I got Miami. I like Carson Beck over what's his name? I should know it. Fernando Mendoza. You want to know why? I'm a fan of check down kings going in the first round because Dylan is a check down king. He wasn't drafted until the third round, and Mendoza only put up 177 yards. And I have looked at his stats, and he averages 8 yards per pass. And he only threw the ball 20 times. And I just don't think a professional quarterback should only have 177 yards in a goddamn playoff game before he drafted number 1 overall. If Dylan was a check down king and he went to the playoffs and they lost to Ohio State, why is it Dylan was an undrafted free agent the year before and only got drafted in the third round? And why are we celebrating Fernando Mendoza, who only put up 177 yards? You know who you need to be celebrating? You need to be celebrating the head coach, because he clearly got some kind of system over there. But you don't celebrate a check down king in a professional league when you have Dak putting up 400 yards a game. Shedeur Sanders, 393 yards a game. Who wants to see 177 yards from a quarterback? That's not dynamic football. His longest pass is 24 yards on average. We're used to seeing what Lamar put up 83 yards. Shedeur put up 60, 50. Come on now. Now, I don't care who win the game. I care who's the better quarterback. Shambliss was the better quarterback. I think Mendoza is a hyped up check down king because they want to embrace the Tyler Shaws of the world. We're going to see how it work out next year when Tyler Shaw has to actually play some real competition instead of Spencer Rattler playing the tough competition. Because he didn't do well against Tampa. Can you figure out why? He didn't even do well against, was it the Falcons? No. He was okay. He threw a nice, see, people go ooh and ah. Okay, look here. Anybody can stand for 10 yards and ooh and ah and the receiver catch the one-handed catch. You need to be ooh and ah at the receiver who's being contested and catches the ball with the one-handed catch, not the quarterback. It's the receiver too. Like, come on. And I feel like it's just my opinion. If he was black, he would never be considered elite with 177 yards in a playoff game. Secondly, he would never be considered elite, would only have thrown 24 yards, period, for a football game. He would never be elite in a game where he put up 10.4 yards or on 177. What black quarterback will be elite with 177 yards? I don't know any quarterback that plays football their entire lives and their goal is to throw the ball 177 yards. Wherever Mendoza goes, if it's Vegas, Ashton Jeanty will be the MVP because he's going to have to do most of the work. At the pros, you can't just throw 177 unless the game is rigged. Because Dak wouldn't be putting up 400. Shedeur wouldn't be putting up 393. And Cam Ward wouldn't have 3,100 yards. And Lamar would never have 4,100 yards. And I feel like the NFL is not friendly toward the Shedeurs and the Lamars and the Cam Wards. Because they want to lower the bar and dumb down the quarterback position for the Tyler Shaws and for the Mendozas. What about Carson Beck? So I'm rooting for Carson Beck and the Miami Hurricanes to defeat Indiana, but I will give it to the coach. Cignetti, is that his name? At Indiana, he is the stud. With that check down system, he can make any quarterback look good. Isn't that what happened to Dylan at Oregon? Okay, same thing. All right, so that's that. Let me know in the comments who you rooting for. I told you who I was rooting for, Miami, and I told you why. I hope it's a good game. I don't know if I'm watching, but I hope it's a good game. I'm not a fan of check down kings. That's not professional football. And I don't believe in going backwards and dumbing down the game so somebody can reach it who ordinarily can't compete with the Dak Prescotts, the Shedeurs, and even the Josh Allens. Come on now. What are we doing? Right? And we already saw them snatch Lamar, who had an MVP season for the third time, and give it to Josh. So again, we already saw how the Shedeur was treated in the draft by the NFL and then in Cleveland. We already know Caleb was sacked 72 times. Bryce Young, 65. Thank God it wasn't Shedeur. Cam Ward sacked 55 times. And they want to send Harbaugh over there. It's like they just looking for somebody for Harbaugh to go disrupt because we don't want him to get to the Super Bowl because he's black. No. Let him go to New York and work with Jackson Dart. Let Cam have a fair chance to play football. Who drafts a quarterback and pay them $48 million guaranteed, number one overall, and you want him to lose and not get to the Super Bowl? Harbaugh, because that's what they did with Lamar Jackson. He just made $9 million because they pushed him down. So let me see what y'all are saying. Now that y'all know how I feel about the college football playoffs and who I want to win. Because I don't think any black quarterback will be considered elite throwing the ball 177 yards and 10 yards at a time. That's the check down king. And I don't want to see no check down king football at all. Not on the pro level. You take that over to the intramural league and they gonna run you off too at the park. Nobody want to see that. Throwing the ball, the longest pass is 24 yards. No. You saw how excited people were when Malik Willis was getting out there throwing dimes, when Caleb Williams was out there throwing dimes, when Shedeur was throwing dimes to Isaiah Bond and Canales who dropped it. Yeah. That's what people want to see. You know how upset fans were, that they try to turn into a check down king. That is why they propping up Shaw and they hyping up Mendoza, because they're check down kings and they fit the agenda so they can exclude black elite quarterbacks like Chambliss and Shedeur and Milroe and Cam Ward and Bryce Young. Racism is always at play in this league when it comes to quarterback. It has never stopped. It is well documented. There's ample evidence. Go read about it. Starting with Willie Thrower. Actually, it's before that. They banned black NFL players from being quarterbacks. So it goes back 120 years. They didn't even want them to be quarterbacks, and they still don't. Especially when they're getting ready to be 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 black starting quarterbacks. Shout out to the guys going back to school. That's where Dante need to go. It said Harbaugh has asked to review both Jackson Dart and Cam Ward tape. Stefanski is not in high demand. It appears the NFL has a hand in who coaches Shedeur. Another mess up. Facts. And Stefanski was interviewed. He's not in high demand. Anybody notice? The moment Harbaugh hit the market, you stop hearing about Stefanski. Now, the Ravens interviewed Stefanski, but it's feeling obligatory. And the NFL crazy as hell if they think they're going to send Stefanski to mess it up for Lamar after we just watched Stefanski mess it up for Shedeur. We support Lamar too, and the Ravens fans going to run him out of town because that's Baltimore, not Cleveland. So that to appease him. He's the legal liability. Don't forget. Let's see where he ends up. They talking about Atlanta. I said, oh, you don't want to do that. He need to stay the hell away from Baltimore, stay the hell away from Tennessee, Nashville, because it's up the road, and stay the hell away. Definitely. Somebody said something about was he going to come back to Cleveland. I know. People talking about he was no scapegoat. He deserved to be fired. Send him to New York. Let him be the offensive coordinator for Jackson Dart and Harbaugh. Send all of them guys who have a problem with black quarterbacks getting to the Super Bowl. Harbaugh, Stefanski. Send all of them over there to New York. And Jackson Dart gonna teach him something. He gonna school him because you know he a little different. He a little different. I dare you to do it. I want to see you do it. Shout out to Jackson Dart. So they all need to be sent to one team because fans not having it, bro. Fans like, look, we sick of this. We are not here for your racial politics. And matter of fact, there was a man talking about it on IG. I didn't get it. Nikki, I think you might have liked the post. I think I saw your thing. I was in a hurry. So I was in a car, somebody was driving, and I'm looking in and had to get out and go into a store. He was like talking about the racism. And he's white. And he said, y'all not fooling nobody. He said, y'all not fooling nobody with the racism. People could see straight through it. And I was like, I need to get that video and share it because the NFL, the Cleveland Browns, the Baltimore Ravens, where Harbaugh was, all these coaches that are either being used or voluntarily trying to suppress black quarterbacks need to hear this message. Y'all not fooling nobody. Your days are numbered. Understand that. If they send Stefanski 2.0, whether it's Schwartz or somebody else, to suppress Shedeur, if you don't understand how close it is to blow it up Berea because of this robbery, if the police didn't close the case, they could actually look and blow it up. But I suspect that it's closed because, oh shit, we didn't know it was this. Yeah. So the man who said that, I don't know who it was, he's right. And honestly, we ain't even bothered by your racism, but we will call it out. We will call it out. And if you want to hide and say, oh, we just want some check down kings because the NFL don't want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now, which means you don't want black elite quarterbacks, you don't have nowhere to hide because the fans not going to be happy with a check down king. I don't see how Mendoza is any different from Dylan. When he was in college, weren't they oohing and eyeing because they went and played Ohio State? All right, then. He didn't even get drafted in the first round. What makes Dylan different from Mendoza? Dylan has more melanin and darker hair. That's it. It's always racism. And Dylan, I mean, you played the part, so you're gonna have to catch these consequences. That's just how it's gonna go. You played the part, so you're gonna catch these consequences. Have you heard of any team asking for Shedeur what? I don't know what that say. No, nobody's talking about Shedeur going anywhere. They finally talking about building around Shedeur, which is to keep them out of trouble from this robbery, if I had to guess. So that's pretty much what I think. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing, Crawley? It says, hey, how you doing? What she says, sports and chat family. Did you hear that Boo Carter will be playing for Coach Prime this year? Did he officially commit? Because I looked earlier and I could have saw a post from yesterday. Did he officially commit? Because it said he was contemplating. So congratulations to Boo Carter, that he'll be coming over. So I hope that's the case. Let's see. Boo Carter commits. Let's see what he commits to. Boo Carter commits to Colorado 43 minutes ago. Yay! All right. That's good. And the guy that left us might be a first round pick. Number 32, I think they had him forecasted, but we'll see as we get closer. Went to Tennessee. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I can't remember his name. But he had a cousin or a brother, and I think his brother or something. Western? I forgot their names. Colton Hood. He had a brother named Brandon Hood. Colton, I don't know what happened to Brandon, but Colton Hood is supposed to be a late first round pick. So we'll see. We'll keep tabs on him. And we wish him well. Hell, I wish anybody that left the school well. They all getting good looks. I will say that. It proves that Coach Prime already had talent. It's just the OC and DC squandered it. It's just how I feel. Hey, Juanette, how you doing? Hey, Tina, how you doing? Hey, Nikki Soulfit, how you doing? Hey, Bridget, how you doing? Hey, Paula. It said, we have a lot to talk about tonight. Facts. So drop the topics and we're going to get going. Thank y'all so much for letting me know. I think I accidentally hit my microphone. I appreciate that. Oh, yeah. Somebody said it was back on. Okay, thank you. It said, you always on that mute button, Queen. Facts. It happens. It does. But I told you it ain't going to be for 35 minutes. We hear you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It said, good evening, Nola. Who's that? Mama Tia, welcome back. I noticed when Bucky went to visit Shiloh, he cut the camera off. He did not show too much of Shiloh's home. Right, because I noticed that since the robbery, like when Coach Prime went to visit, he used the like blur feature to blur out when Coach Prime was showing different things like Shedeur's closet and stuff like that. And I saw the Shedeur files and they were talking about how they felt like maybe too much was being shown. I want y'all to know something. Okay. That didn't have shit to do with it. I told you I looked at that video. They weren't looking at the closet. Did they go in a room and just leave? Did they take any of his Twitch stuff? That didn't have nothing to do with it. And yeah, it's a valid point, but I want you to understand something. This is why I dropped the link to, if you're just not joining us, in the link from me, What She Said Sports on all platforms, I shared a documentary about a robbery ring from Atlanta called Drug Rich Gang. 25 people were indicted and they was running around robbing people. I want you to know something. They don't need your social media to see what you have. They try to rob Future and they didn't need his social media. Why you think they try to rob Future? Because they know he has stuff. They know if they find his house, he got something in it. So it don't matter what you show. Yes, originally, probably early on when social media came about, people could see if you have nice cars. If you make $20 million, I know you got some nice sunglasses and bags. And that's the point of the documentary. It had nothing to do with that. You need to always go back to that posturing from Haslam, who allowed Stefanski to abuse Shedeur, told you he didn't want Shedeur, wasn't his pick. You always have to go back to that because that was the first time they even let Bucky film at all. You think we never saw Shedeur stuff before? Really? Explain how they found out where he lived at. Go watch the documentary. It's going to tell you how they find their people or the people they robbed. They couldn't find Future, so they shouldn't have been able to find Shedeur for a number of reasons. Watch the documentary. I'll be back to talk about it tomorrow. It said, how did they manage to rob 12? Thought that Stone Mountain was upscale. It wasn't the same people. I didn't say it was the same people. I said these guys, first of all, they all locked up, except for the two. The ringleaders didn't get locked up. Why? The ringleaders didn't get locked up because they say they didn't do nothing. I was like, oh, here we go. Remember, one stayed in the car. The one that's Point of Oregon stayed in the car. He didn't do nothing, right? We'll see. We shall see. So I didn't say the guys were from Stone Mountain. I was saying that Stone Mountain is in DeKalb County. DeKalb County is who arrested the three guys, the driver and the other two. That's where they were because Decatur. So, and Decatur and Stone Mountain, from what I can remember, is like right there. So I didn't say it was them. Those guys in jail. But they were about the same age as those guys. They're about the same age group, give or take a few years. They're in the same age group. So like it maybe if they were 16, these guys were 19. Now that they're 25, these guys are probably 27, 28, same age group. Like they said, the Robert, the one that's missing it, then they say he like 26, 27, 28, somewhere in there. So yeah, together, right? Proud of our guy. Facts. Again, here is the link. See if y'all can get it, copy it, and paste it, and go watch the documentary. I'll be back to break this down tomorrow. It's really good. I think it points out the story that we were told about this situation is, in my opinion, this video will show you how it really goes and why you were told the story. Yep. You'll see it. It said, I am proud of Jimmy Horn. Much love and respect for Jimmy. I totally agree. I totally agree, Crowley. Proud of Bryce Young. I so am proud of Bryce Young. They did to Bryce Young what they did to Shedeur, but they let him play in year one. And you see, they benched him. And I made this case multiple times. I said, did y'all know, if you know, because I made 2 videos about Bryce Young. I said, see, the Panthers thought they was slick. They was just trying to move Bryce Young out the way. And people at that time, it was 2020, he won the Heisman, he got drafted. People said, how you going to bench your number 1 overall pick? See, you don't do that, right? You're supposed to develop your number 1 overall pick. But this was the era, in my opinion, when he came out, Bryce Young, they were trying to prove that these rookies, especially these black rookies, whether they were Heisman or not first year ready. But Lamar was. That was 2018. Bryce Young, I think 2020, right? And that's what they were trying to prove. And they benched him after he was sacked 65 times. Just like Cam Ward was sacked 55 times. Number 1 overall pick again. Caleb Williams, number 1 overall pick 72 times. That's intentional. To try to prove they either can't be quarterbacks or they're not first year ready. But I think it's to devalue them, to rattle them. When you get, Bryce Young talked about it, Shedeur talked about it. You get PTSD when you get sacked like that. That's why they allowed it to happen to Shedeur. That's why they set it up to be happen. And one of the guys that let Shedeur get sacked all the time plays for Indiana. And where did you see Indiana? They going to the Natty. People be out here making choices. I remember Antonio Pierce talking about that, right? With Derek Carr, was it David Carr? Derek Carr, one of them was the quarterback over there, and Davante Adams wanted out. He said it. These guys are making business decisions because they were trying to get him fired, and it worked. But were they trying to get him fired, or did somebody else want him fired? Just like Cleveland looked like they was trying to get rid of Shedeur or restrain him so he can't play. And it must be so he can't play at QB1 because there's no conversation to trade Shedeur. So they holding him hostage. And they not trying to put the best people around him. Again. And Stefanski is gone. So who is it? This ain't Andrew Berry's team. This Haslam's team. That's why you always have to go back to the posturing. When Bucky was invited up there to finally film in the Miami game, and Haslam with them 4 kids, and Shedeur get robbed by 4 people, and he don't support Shedeur. He, even with Stefanski gone, he was asked about Shedeur. Yeah, we're going to make a lot of changes on offense. He does not want Shedeur to be the starting quarterback for the Browns. He has motive. He calls the shots. It said Shedeur had also told Shiloh on Thanksgiving video not to video in the house and rooms, right? And honestly, I mean, that's fine, but go watch the documentary about the drug rich gang that 25 of them were indicted and how people came from other states to come rob with them and where they robbed people at and where they didn't rob people at. Thank you for that, Tamika. It said he probably, how should I say it? He's cautious, right? When something like that happens, you're really cautious. And I don't know what he knows, right? I don't know. I think he knows it's an inside job. And I hope he understands that what they took for him was something they knew he loved. His peace in his bags. And it is very possible those bags never made it out of Ohio. Just like the contents of his nightstand. Those guys weren't sit there to just smash and grab, if you will. And they can do that. Go watch the Drug Rich Gang documentary. And it'll answer a lot. I think it'll kind of inform you of what's really going on. It said the defensive coach for Atlanta is Jeff Ulbrich, whose son pranked Shedeur. Not surprised that the black GM head coach was fired. Correct. Facts and correction. Jeff Ulbrich's son did not prank Shedeur. Joe Schoen's daughters, who went to Ole Miss, boyfriend who was the caller from Ole Miss, pranked Shedeur. Jeff Ulbrich's son was in the room doing like this, walking around like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. The other guy, Ole Miss, stood up and celebrated and walked out like mission accomplished. They all were in somebody's house upstate. Who house you think they was at? They wasn't in Atlanta at the Ulbrich's house. The Ulbrich son go to school in New Jersey. Who house you think they was at? Okay. You see? Somebody super, super high up. Did the commissioner have a draft party? Or did Joe Schoen and family have a draft party? And of course, his son gets to come over, right? Because all of these guys are executives. So the NFL let people believe it was Ulbrich and his son. So let's see if he gets rewarded like Mark Andrews did. So yeah, you're right about the firing. Not to be surprised that they fired a black GM head coach because only 2 black GMs have been fired. And the head coaches that were fired, out of 7, 6 had black starting quarterbacks. And that's so that right here, it says it right here. That is so the new coach can come in and demote or devalue or bench and move out the way and draft somebody else. All right, so you see right here, Harbaugh. This is just a throwback to Harbaugh based on who was that said that Nicefield said. You can't be surprised that they fired the head coach and the GM because they're black, right? So if you notice, Harbaugh is the hot ticket, and you already know what he just accomplished in Baltimore, suppressing Lamar, preventing Lamar from getting past the playoffs to the Super Bowl. And Lamar knows this. You can tell. The Ravens now know it. They said Harbaugh was walking to his car and driving to his home in whatever county that is up there. And they called him and fired him while he was in the car. They sick of him. Now they said that was whoever fired him, but the GM, they say it was crying. If somebody's racist or harming a black person and you crying because they get fired, you need to be fired too. I think everybody's pulling to get Harbaugh, Tennessee, because they know what he accomplished against Lamar. The Browns, because they knew what he accomplished. The Browns tried to get Monken first. I'm like, are you crazy? He ain't even been fired yet. That's how desperate Haslam was to get somebody that already took down Lamar. Then he went from Monken to Harbaugh. He just don't know when to quit. Do we? So it says right here, look at what Harbaugh wanted as head coach, okay? It ain't about the money. So we ain't worried about the 20 million a year. Mind you, Stefanski only made 3.5 million. So I don't know if they was really gonna give Harbaugh 20. I doubt it. It says he wanted 10 million for staff. He wasn't gonna get that because they cheap over there. Total authority over the roster. That's the part. Total authority over the roster. So I have 6 or 7 coaches who were fired that have black QB1s at a time in the NFL where suppressing black quarterbacks to prevent them from becoming the majority of the starting quarterbacks, meaning 17 to 32, they get total authority over the roster in a lot of cases. That's why he asked for it, because that's what he wants. So you know who chose for Mark Andrews to be out there. It's still on the team. Now, I don't know who decided to reward him like they did, but that's what happened. So somebody's still over there. It's the third bullet, total authority over the roster. This is what they use. Oh, well, a new coach is going to want to come in and they probably going to want to draft their own quarterback instead of going with Shedeur. That's the plan. Except for it's Schwartz. And why they don't need a new quarterback? Because Shedeur is a bridge. Now, they can succeed with a bridge. But the way they treated a bridge in the past, which was Deshaun Kaiser, they destroyed him. They destroyed him. And the head coach said he was incentivized to lose. They destroyed that kid intentionally. Put him in a position to fail because they didn't want him to be their starting quarterback. He was just a bridge. Why was he a bridge? Because the black GM, Sashi Brown, who's now over in Baltimore, wanted to hire Lamar. Remember, he had hired Myles Garrett. So he got Myles Garrett on defense. He was going to hire Lamar, but first week of December, Haslam fires the man. So he can't hire Lamar. That's how intense Haslam is when it comes to avoiding black starting quarterbacks. Because nobody would pay $230 million for a quarterback skill set and not play that quarterback, or allow him to get injured and not hold the head coach accountable for not protecting him. But that's what happened with Deshaun. The only reason they're even talking about Deshaun right now is to block Shedeur. Why they want to block Shedeur so much? Because the fans love Shedeur. And Shedeur is a bridge like Deshaun Kaiser. And if you know anything about Deshaun Kaiser's career, then that's what they was doing to Shedeur with Stefanski as the henchman. That's why everybody over there has motive, including Haslam, to move Shedeur out the way, because I couldn't suppress you. Blake Whiteheart crushed your damn hand and you still came out the locker room with a fingernail missing, which is excruciating, and you still played football in the cold with a missing nail exposed. That is painful. That is painful when air hits that. Thankfully, it was covered, but it still was missing. That's pain. So instead of Dylan staying on the field and the fans booed the hell out of him, Shedeur came back out there. Now, you would think Haslam would embrace Shedeur because I can make a lot of money with him real fast until the Manning kid come out of school and then trade him. But they refuse to discuss a trade. They seem like they absolutely have to hold on to him and they absolutely have to destroy him at the same time until the Manning kid comes. Because if the fans like Shedeur and he get out there and throw the ball 80 yards and the Manning kid come out here and that's not him, then they going to be on me. Yeah. That's facts. So what is he trying to do? Avoid accountability. So his idea is to destroy Shedeur like he destroyed Deshaun Kaiser. And Stefanski wasn't even a head coach. And even with Stefanski gone, Haslam still on it. Well, yeah, the whole offense going to change. Then trade Shedeur, fool. He's ignorant. Stealing from unclaimed funds. You got the money. Build your own damn stadium. Fans are already not showing up anyway. Fans support Shedeur. And he don't want to even commit to Shedeur because he know he want to save that QB1 spot for the Manning kid. You don't get to destroy Shedeur or Deshaun Kaiser because they black. And I want you to understand something about this robbery. If it's proven that is somebody inside the Browns organization, because that's not a question, that had an issue with Shedeur because he's black, it's a hate crime. Yeah, it should be. I don't know the federal statute for a hate crime. And I don't know if it has to be a physical attack or not, but it's a hate crime if it was done because they don't want him to be like Stefanski mistreated him and Haslam didn't support him because he's black. You don't dehumanize Shedeur because you want the Manning kid. You dehumanize Shedeur because you don't want a black quarterback. Because the Manning kid probably was 8 when Deshaun Kaiser was the lead, was left to go 0-15. So this is not solely about the Manning kid. This seems to be what it's always about in the NFL. Discrimination and hatred towards black starting quarterbacks because they were never supposed to get that far. So if it comes out that they've had conversations and calling him the N-word and saying things like they don't want him to be black and their quarterback or he not worthy and all of this because they've been talking, it's a hate crime. So they need to reopen that investigation and investigate everybody in the damn building. There's ample motive. And the list of people to interview is everybody. Because everybody wanted Dylan to play. That's motive. It said Harbaugh is bringing his GM with him wherever he's the coach. Well, that must be because they said he was crying, so they need to kick him out too. So he sounded like I don't know, right? They say the lady who's the owner in Tennessee is cheap. That's what they say. That's what she say. They don't like her. I don't know if they don't like her because she's a woman or they don't like her because she's cheap or they don't like her because she keeps firing people like Callahan. I don't know why they don't like her. I think Cam like her. I think he like her. I think the GM don't like Cam, just like Callahan didn't like Cam. So I don't know if she's going to pony up $20 million unless he only said that because he don't want to go to the Browns. You know how people tell you stuff? Yeah, I got to wash my hair tonight. I don't want to go out. Thank you. You know, that kind of thing. If somebody want to buy you a drink, I don't drink, but you got to drink right here. You know, you just say whatever to get them the hell on. So that's kind of how I feel with the Browns. But then again, you know, maybe that is what he wanted. And he does want to bring, he wants to have his own, he said he want to pick the GM and he wants total control over the roster. I don't know who's going to give him that other than New York. And I don't know I don't know what owner wants to relinquish control from somebody that was fired that kept losing playoff games with a 2-3-time MVP. I don't know. Somebody gonna do it, but I don't know. It's not gonna be the Browns because they say they going with Schwartz because they cheat. So we'll see. The Browns need to be talking about a trade scenario for Shedeur. That's what they need to be talking about. And if they had this case open in Medina County and they were investigating Berea, I bet Shedeur will be traded because they already know the truth. I think that's why the case is closed. Well, you know, we can't move him because, you know, in the draft, the owners took him off the board. So, you know, maybe it's good we don't bring that up because, you know, we might have to trade him after if everybody find out it's somebody in-house. Yeah, I could just totally see it. Look at how Haslam move. Look at Stefanski. Look at Andrew Barry, who don't say nothing. But then, you know, look at who their first 2 picks were. Let's see who their first picks are this year. Let's see if it's more of the same. Because I expect more of the same from Schwartz, but we're going to see. Shedeur said some coach was nice to him. Maybe it was Schwartz. We'll see. I don't know. I doubt it. It said in the college football semifinals on 1/9/2025, Indiana beat Oregon 56-22 for clicks and views. Oh my God, Mackie. He said Indiana took care of Oregon. Coach Dan Lanning for disrespecting Coach Pride Sanders. That's funny. That's hilarious. That was some kind of get back. It looks like he just can't win the big games to me. That's why I want Dante and every other black quarterback to get the hell on and stay away from Oregon. And their receivers don't even need to go over there. But you know they are, right? Because Oregon is trying to be like Alabama and Georgia, schools that have a reputation for getting their players drafted. But they got Dylan drafted 3rd round, even though he was undrafted the year before because he went to the Manning Passing Academy. The receiver, Tez Johnson, didn't get drafted until the 7th round. How? And Tez Johnson, who's black, is the adopted brother of Bo Nix. Bo Nix family somewhere along the line adopted him. He in Tampa. Is Tampa still in the playoffs or did they get eliminated? I don't even know. I think they got eliminated. I feel like they got eliminated. So ain't that kind of weird though? The receiver goes in the 7th round, the black guy. And Dylan goes in the 3rd after being an undrafted free agent. And he went to Oregon. And we supposed to think Oregon is high and mighty, and they just got beat down. Karma coming for all of them. Did y'all hear about George Zimmerman? Remember the guy that killed the young Trayvon Martin? Did y'all hear about this? Let me read this out loud. And this is a message. This is a message for all of the people, that everybody in the building. Everybody in the building. This is a message for everybody in the building in Berea that had any parts of trying to discriminate, suppress, humiliate, mock, traumatize, harass, set up to fail, sabotage Shedeur Sanders, or knew about it and did nothing. This for y'all, because this gonna be y'all. Because if y'all get away with this robbery, I want you to know this gonna be your sentence right here. You're gonna be just like George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman, where is it? Let me read it out loud. All right, it says it right here. George Zimmerman is reportedly without employment, homeless, suffering mentally suffering mentally and finding it challenging to find peace after shooting 17-year-old Trayvon Martin, destroying his life. Understand, that's what I'm talking about. Destroying another human being, no matter how you did it. You set out to do him harm. That's the point. In 2012, and being found not guilty, like this case is closed, so I can't find you guilty or not guilty. You're not guilty because the case is closed back in 2013. So understand this. He got off in the court of law, but his life went to hell. And I want everybody in the goddamn building in Berea to know, I don't give a damn if they close that case and never come back to it, even though they should. But y'all tried to destroy Shedeur, and like George Zimmerman, you going down up here. That's where the prison sentence starts, in the mind. And you can't control it. You think you can. You can't even control your breathing because breathing is involuntary. So who you need to survive? Who Shedeur needed to survive the Browns? God. So stay tuned. When I saw that about George Zimmerman, I said, that's going to be them folks over there who set Shedeur up for that robbery and his career, to destroy him personally, physically, in his career, and mentally, and emotionally, and spiritually. They're going to suffer like George Zimmerman. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. Because it seems to me they don't want to trade him and do right by him. Medina County closed this case when it should be open because the getaway driver left them clues, and he left them on purpose. And they don't want to do nothing about it. Okay. You closed the case knowing you just issued a warrant, or a warrant was issued for a suspect that you don't know whether he in Ohio or Atlanta, because he wasn't on the pictures in the hotel. So he might still be there. But you say you know where he at, but you closed the case. With the disgusting and abhorrent way Shedeur was treated by the Browns organization as a whole, starting with the owner, then the head coach, and Andrew Berry not saying nothing. Moving on to everybody else who watched Shedeur be abused. Abuse is motive. Everybody had motive. Dylan's fiance, everybody in the building wanted Dylan to play. So everybody in the building, including the little girl on payroll running around, chasing Shedeur off the clock to keep an eye on him. needs to be investigated. And if they choose not to, that's okay. Because you're going to be like George Zimmerman. Book it. It said very informative, and the method of operation is similar to Shedeur. Okay, so you already watched it. So it sounds like somebody already watched Drug Rich Gang. That's documentary. I'm telling you, go watch it. It's not even that long. I don't think it is, but it's damn sure good. It said I heard Boo Carter is good, but he is not disciplined. Late to meetings and practice. It said barely played last year. Well, understand this, Val. Coach Prime don't play that, so we already know what happens. He gonna get booted out, so we ain't worried. I think that's why they didn't get him last time, but maybe he learned his lesson. We gonna see. And people do deserve a second chance, except for Stefanski. These young people, not these adults. It said, please watch it. It's very informative. Right. Niceville, you already watched it? Okay. If they watched it, the MO is spot on. What happened to Shedeur? Crazy. Thank y'all. Thank you, Swansea. It said, TK, how you doing? Good evening. Dylan has no business in the league. Someone else deserves that spot. There you go. It said the Bears win 31 to Green Bay 27. Who was the starting quarterback for Green Bay? Was it Malik or was it Jordan? Let me know. Shout out, and that was just a hard fought game. And shout out to Simone Biles. She looked so cute at the game with her custom look like faux meat coat on with her husband's jersey number and photo and stuff on the back. Everybody just loves to see her on game day because she's a titan of athletics. And she's our little queen. And I don't play about Simone Biles either. I don't play about her either at all. So shout out to Simone Biles. I might have a video. If not, I have to share it tomorrow, but she look cute. It said the Bears came back and won. Happy to hear. It said Dylan has his coming and anyone else involved. That's it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There you go, Isaiah. It said, bye, Dylan. It said 5 touchdowns and only 177 yards. I agree with you, Joy. I think we playing like that. How you 5 touchdowns and 177 yards? Oh, you was on the 4-yard line when you made it. Why you didn't get the ball to the running back? Just like the Wildcats were to exclude Shedeur, they're excluding their running back. We'll see what happens when he get to Vegas. It's gonna be obvious because that's both, but that's where he going. Okay. Because why Dylan didn't get to go first round? Why weren't they oohing and eyeing over him in the draft? You see? And that's what Dylan get for fooling with them people like that. Because he should have never partook in that foolishness. It said Kevin is gonna be kissing Dart like Daboll did, right? Call a spade a spade. That's it. Hey Val, welcome. It said right now Stefanski is listening to Boys to Men end of the road. I like that. It said Kevin won't be able to handle Dart. Facts. He think he won't go to Tennessee. You ain't gonna be able to handle Dart. Neither one of them will. Harbaugh and Stefanski, if they both end up their head coach OC, they gonna get it. That's why I said Dart a little different. He a little different. I told y'all he immediately came out and said thank you to Russell Wilson. He helped him. They didn't want him to do that, right? They didn't want him to thank Russ, right? And shout out to Russ. He hired David Mulligetta. I think I told y'all that already. So he can try to come back in free agency. Cleveland interviewed Russ after he left. They forced him out of Pittsburgh. They didn't need a quarterback, but they got Flacco and Pickett. You see? Good night, Nola. All right. Good night, Mama Tia. We'll see you next time. It said they trying to call the real QB street ballers. It said they what? They trying to call the real QB street ballers. Right. Anything to discount them, Amber. Anything. Yeah, Mendoza. I don't want to hear nothing about him. Somebody even said it. He just tall. That's it. I'm like, it's a little bit more than that. They trying to turn everybody into Tyler Shaw and Mendoza. And I told y'all, Mendoza is who they wanted Tyler Shaw to be from the jump. Boo Carter is like that. I think he is too. Ms. Pamela says she want Miami to win. Thank you, Ramon. Thank you. Boo Carter has committed. Yay! Big 12 commissioner. Right. The Big 12 commissioner ran off our athletes. Do you understand that? He ran off our commits. And Coach Prime went and got some more. So all you did was let people run off, and Coach Prime went and got some more. Yeah, I told y'all, they on that slick stuff. But one thing about it, see, the players see it coming in now. They like, okay, that ain't Coach Prime. No, that ain't Coach Prime. It sure isn't. And I wish everybody else that left well. But the goal, it seems like to me, the GM and see you try to run off the athletes talking about this money. I'm like, why y'all don't have the money? $300 million in just 1 year for a TV deal. 3 sold out seasons and about to be a 4th. They want to run Coach Prime off because he has a lot of influence. And they don't want him to have the influence. I guess they want Dan Lanning to have it, or Kirby Smart to have it, or whoever that is over there at Alabama to have it. Why they don't like Sarkisian like that? Because his wife is black. She pretty too. Yep. Arch Manning, the younger Arch, he like black people. Now I don't think he with that foolishness. I'm like, I'm going back to school. Yep. He like black people. He hang out with black people. So that's them other people. Y'all know who that is. It said Dante should stay at school, right, Ramon? It said Arch Manning might be bent or fake. It said hurt, so they can't play the new QB. Oh, they signed a new QB, Dia Bell. We gonna see, because people will. Matter of fact, didn't we get somebody from Texas? Did Colorado get Coach Prime? Did Coach Prime get somebody from Texas? I think so. We got somebody from Texas. We got somebody from Notre Dame. I don't know if we got somebody from Ohio State this year. Then we got somebody from Tennessee. Ooh, they don't like that. They don't like that. Sounds like Dan Lanning is on some slick stuff, right? Trinidad played NCAA for 5 years. The kid from Vanderbilt is the junior transfer. Different set of rules. It don't matter. It was a COVID year. COVID is COVID. It doesn't matter. COVID is COVID, right? It said Andrew Berry gonna rebuild the offense roster. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. But let's see how they treat Shedeur. It said this was Njoku last year with the Browns. I think so too. It was his contract year, and because Njoku was one of the first people to gravitate towards Shedeur, I said, now watch what happened in his contract year. You saw what happened. They moved him out the way. It's funny how he played in a game with a knee injury. They moved him and Harold Fanning Jr. out the way. They just took all Shedeur targets away. And they want you to believe that was just Stefanski. Okay, we're going to see. Because just like the front office got accused in the Washington Commanders, and they said they're going to fire their head coach, Quinn over there, they going to fire him. You know why? Because the players want to walk. The players are upset that they let the offensive coordinator go, who didn't agree with how Dan Quinn wasn't protecting Jaden Daniels. Because Dan Quinn on that BS. Yeah. Sure is. See how Jaden Daniels put the team on his back like CJ Stroud in the first year, and in year 2 they made their sophomore season's hell. And then they moved the OC out the way, so his 3rd year he don't get back. So they talking about firing Dan Quinn. They need to get rid of all of them kind of people who don't want black quarterbacks to succeed in the NFL. We're not here for this. We're here for some competitive football. I don't want to see no check down kings because you want to bypass black quarterbacks. I don't want to see another Stefanski trying to hurt any other black quarterback out here, regardless of what his name is. The point is, it's happening to all 16 black starting quarterbacks. Because you don't want to get to 17. Then stop drafting them. And when they go start do their own thing, you'll be back. Or when fans like, this boring. See, that's what it's going to have to take. And the fans in Cleveland already let them know, we don't want you to suppress Shedeur. Stop it. Why are you limiting him? See, fans already know. But you see, they still running with the plan. See, Mendoza and Shaw are agendas. Dart is not, as far as I know, I don't think he's a check down king. But Shaw and Mendoza are. And that's what they want the future quarterbacks to look like, because they didn't give Dylan a first round. You see, this is about race. So I'm disguising it and making it about skill set. And I don't even want to say out loud, I don't want a dynamic quarterback like Shedeur. I don't even have the nerve to come out loud and say, I want a check down king like Shaw and Mendoza, because they know what's going to happen. So they trying to slide it in. They don't learn either. They don't learn either. The NFL and Haslam and all them owners, they're going to learn the hard way. Times have changed. You're going to have to move on. So they let one bad knee go because he supported Shedeur. Right. Facts. That's it. It said the 49ers didn't want to give the money he deserved after having a good year receiving. He held out. And at the last minute, they paid him what he wanted. They said he took his guarantees because he was injured, but I'll take it. So what do you think, Roger, about him coming to the Browns? They said to pair up with Shedeur. Let me know your thoughts. They said they expected to go after him. I don't know how people say stuff like that. It means you have a lot of credibility and inside knowledge, and that's what Andrew Barrett or Haslam told you. So, because they don't have a head coach yet. So, let me know, Roger, if you think that he is good to come to Cleveland. It said need a wide receiver that will go get the 50-50 ball. There we go. AJ Brown. Ooh, what happened in Philly? Did something happen in Philly with him? I would say yes, but what happened in Philly with him this season? What was all the chatter about that caused all kind of disruption at the sound of his voice? What was going on? Inform me. But AJ Brown, yeah. What about like a Devonta Smith or somebody like that? And Njoku not coming back next year. Is that already confirmed? It said Ayuk wants out of San Fran because he injury prone. The Browns already have Njoku with a bad knee. Okay, thank you for that. It said Brandon Ayuk would be a great pickup for the Browns. Thank you, Roger. If they can't get him, the Browns should try to get AJ Brown from the Eagles. Ayuk gave up his guaranteed contract. He wants out of San Fran. They say they took it. That's what it said. And they said he's headed towards free agency. And the Browns, Andrew Barry loves vulnerable people. I noticed that. He just really, and the black and vulnerable, that just seems to kind of work for him. I hate to say that. And they get devalued a lot. So we're going to see what happens. We'll see. It said Hopkins used to play with the Texans, right? Schwartz, DC, and McDaniel, OC. Okay, so you want McDaniel still to come over. Does Tommy Reese still have a job? Let me know. It said, I want to see Flores with the Ravens. Yeah, but he didn't have no interviews. I heard it went public that he didn't have one interview scheduled for a head coach. But then I thought I heard the Browns were going to interview, the Ravens was going to interview him. And I wondered if it was the Rooney Rule obligation. Because I don't know. They only said about the guy from Miami who was like a DC coach or a defensive coordinator for Miami. The Ravens seem to be the only people interviewing black people. I'm just going to put it out there. Nobody else. Not even the Browns. What's his name? He's, like El DeBarge. He's supposed to be black. They call him biracial. What's his name? What's the one from Miami? We were just talking about him. McDaniel. That's the only one the Browns mentioned that's black, and he half black. So, and I think they kind of control him a little bit. I didn't really care for that in Miami. I felt like he couldn't do with bench Tua when he needed to because they were trying to use Tua and losing to fire the black GM. That's why I'm like, I don't want that. I want somebody that want to coach, like the OC from Washington. He want to coach, and he wasn't with that BS that Quinn had going on with Jaden. I want somebody like that, somebody that got some backbone. That's like, look here, I'm not here with your racial politics. I'm trying to win games. That's what I'm looking for. If Cleveland is hell bent on holding to Shedeur, they need to get a real coach in there who's not racist. Period. And Haslam got to be moved out the way first, probably for that to happen, because he seemed to be trying to get somebody that was successful at suppressing another black quarterback like Lamar. So it said Lamar curved Harbaugh so bad. He did, bruh. He let him know. He let him know. I was like, because I said, if Lamar want to win in Baltimore, especially with that coach, he going to have to do what? Call an audible. He's going to have to call an audible. Because now the man gone. Now, let's talk about quarterbacks that last the sabotage, that survive the sabotage. Bryce Young. This is why when we talk about should Shedeur lead this, that, and the other, I used to always think about Bryce Young because he survived. And even though, it's been 5 years, he made it to the playoffs. Did y'all know Mike McDaniels went to playoffs in his short 4-year career 2 times? Now, for that reason, I like McDaniel. And I just don't want him to be Haslam's puppet. I don't, because I feel like Haslam already does that to Andrew Berry. And it's not going to be no different. You mean to tell me Berry couldn't save Shedeur? How? So how would Mike be able to do it? Right? And considering the first person they wanted to interview was Monken, and he still was employed by the Browns, but he set up Lamar. Then the second person is Harbaugh. The third person is McDaniels. You know what? I'm going to just stay with Schwartz. You know why? Because Harbaugh costs too much, thank God. And he wants to fire the GM, and they're not doing that because they got Berry doing what they want. Berry does not mind using his melanin to devalue these black athletes. He don't mind. And it's obvious when they keep picking, they pass over Shedeur, but you get Mason Graham? Really? You already had the number 2 defense. He didn't make them the number 2 defense. Carson Swessinger fully guaranteed contract in the second round. Why they couldn't go to Quinshawn? Harold Fanning Jr. devalued to the third round. Isaiah Bond, undrafted free agent after he was supposedly set up so he could be devalued. And y'all know Shedeur's story. And now you know Andrew Berry was calling around his connects to try to send Shedeur elsewhere because they didn't want him there. That's why everybody in the building is a suspect. Motive. We don't want you here. We don't want you. We don't value you. Motive. Everybody. All right. It said, I want to see Flores with the Ravens. I want to see Flores as a head coach, but I don't know. Oh, it says Flores is interviewing with the Raiders. Ooh, and Tom Brady. They were talking about the Raiders have a black female president, the lady we all had talked about before. But they were talking about that today. I think if Flores didn't have any interviews before, I'm not sure that these are genuine. That's the concern. Thing with the coach for Miami. Remember, they have Rooney rules they have to go by. So it's given, we better interview him because that's what it's given. And that case is not going nowhere. He seemed to still be moving forward with it. So they petty. So, so it said Harbaugh cap is not capable. Yeah, he need to move on. I don't believe Harbaugh is asking for all of that. Tony Grossi is full of it and making up stories. Coach, coming from you, that's saying a lot. Coach don't believe Harbaugh asked for none of that. Just in case you're just not joining us, this is what they say. Tony Grossi, Coach say Grossi lying. Harbaugh, according to Tony Grossi, wants $20 million per year. No, $10 million staff budget. Huh? I don't even know what that means. Total authority over the roster. Would like to select his own GM. I don't think maybe next year, but I don't think Haslam wants to part ways with Andrew Berry because he's useful and he uses his melanin. So I'm not racist. Look, I got him. But then look what he make him do. And look at the foul. The stuff he be letting him, he let people believe that Andrew Berry gave Deshaun that money. I'm like, y'all don't have half a brain if you think that. Not the way the NFL is when it comes to black leadership. I'm like, no. Does anybody know when Minnesota had their meeting with the GM publicly what the hell they was talking about on Thursday? Does anybody keep up with the Vikings to let us know what they wanted to tell the public on Thursday and why we had to hear about it on Tuesday, but they wanted to tell us to come back on Thursday? Let me know if y'all know what's going on with the Minnesota Vikings. They made some kind of announcement, the GM and look like the head coach. Let me know. So I don't know what's going on over there. It say you see when 12 was mic'd up last game, he told a ref to make sure to protect him. Yes. And he said, to protect him, it said they be trying to hit his neck area. That's what he was saying. They kept hitting him in the head. It said this game has really gone wild with the injuries, right? And Shedeur said it. And the man was like, okay, just let me know. He said, I'm letting you know now. In other words, it's going to happen. Yeah, they kept hitting him up. Jeffrey Simmons did it. And he got robbed too. He got robbed on Christmas Eve. Yeah, I think Jeffrey Simmons got robbed right there in Tennessee. See, there's a lot of people to hit up before you get up to Ohio. Go watch the documentary, Drug Rich Gang. For the people that watched it, what did you notice about where they committed their robberies? Don't spoil it in the chat. Just kind of say, yeah, I noticed it. I noticed it. We're gonna talk about it tomorrow, and then you get to tell everybody. All right. All right, I'm gonna go through some more comments and we're gonna get ourselves out of here. Coach, it's funny for you about Tony Grossi lying, because you know you don't say stuff like that. That's why we love you, Coach. It says, so yeah, we saw the mic. I like the mic'd up video. We might go over that too because I thought it was good. They need to pay 12. Right. Run me my money. Has 22. Oh, they're talking about the watch silly. It said Tony Grossi tweeted that if they would have won those last 2 games back to back, they could have had the number 1 pick. He's a loser, period. They didn't want the number 1 pick. That's why they didn't win them games. They didn't want the number 1 pick. For what? What I'm gonna do with the number 1 pick when I'm waiting on a Manny kid? Shedeur is a bridge. Long as they treat the bridge with respect and let him ball out, and they can go get the Manny kid all they want, but you're gonna have to trade Shedeur, because if you think for 5 seconds we gonna let you bitch Shedeur and humiliate him behind the Manny kid, burn it down. We'll burn it down. We'll burn it down. I'm like, I'm sorry. Because I think that's where they're trying to go. I think they might as well just, you see how they don't want to trade Shedeur? The only trade scenario I heard was Vegas. Who did y'all say Flores was interviewing with? Vegas. What did I tell y'all they was putting out about their president? That she's black. That it's a she, and she's black. Pay attention. Let's see what happens. To me, they need to trade Shedeur to Vegas, and the Browns can have Mendoza. They already got Dillon, so you might as well get Mendoza. Right? The same hype about Mendoza. People was talking about Dillon too until they lost to Ohio State. So, you know, that's just what it is. That's the same person. But see, they want the Manny kid. Now, they doing like Minnesota did, betting the farm on JJ McCarthy, and it didn't work out. It didn't work out. And then they want to put Justin Jefferson on the mic to get him to say he wants another quarterback. They talking about a veteran. I'm like, how is he not a veteran? He been in the league 2 years. You a rookie for a year, unless I missed something. I thought Shedeur's rookie season is complete, and now he's a veteran. But see, JJ didn't play his rookie season. But they asking him, do he want to get a veteran? They was trying to send Lamar up to Minnesota. I'm like, I don't think Baltimore gonna part with Lamar. I don't think so. And you see who got fired. And you know the Baltimore Ravens fans was thanking the owner. Thank you for choosing Lamar over Harbaugh. And that's a valuable lesson for Lamar, because he helped to save Harbaugh's job. And look at how Harbaugh thanked him. These people are some backstabbers, bro. Some backstabbers. All right, we getting ready to wrap up, y'all. We'll be back tomorrow with the Rich Gang documentary. Didn't know that about McDaniel. What's that, Barbara? It's that breaking. Shedeur Sanders gets major endorsements to be Browns QB1 in the offseason. One of their most critical decisions. Endorsements from whom? Oh, I heard that not Dante Culpepper. One of the quarterbacks from back in the day, not Donovan McNabb. Somebody we rarely hear about, said Shedeur's QB1. He's a dynamic QB. He should be QB1. I wonder if that's the endorsement that they're talking about. Let me see which quarterbacks recently endorsed Shedeur, because I want y'all. I feel like if somebody name started with an R. Endorsed Shedeur. Former NFL quarterback. Whose name started with an R? That's black. Somebody. Former NFL QB endorsed recently. Not Cunningham. It says several NFL players and analysts have recently endorsed Shedeur Sanders to be Cleveland Browns starting QB1 for the 2026 season, with Jason McCourty, Joe Thomas. That's the surprise. Joe Thomas, the dude from Cleveland, and Mel Kiper Jr. as an analyst, right? Jason McCourty said after seeing Shedeur's play, McCourty expressed strong support noting his talent and ability to make plays, urging the Browns to commit to him. It said, Joe Thomas, the Browns legend, provided blunt and encouraging advice, highlighting Sanders' improvement, but stressing the need for consistency to eliminate bad plays. Yeah, screw him. That's why I said what? And of course, Mel Kiper Jr. So I don't know who else would have, and it was somebody else. I have to go back and look and see who it was. Hall of Fame QB Kurt Warner recently endorsed Sanders, calling him the most accurate QB in the 2025 NFL draft class. And an NFL starter. Additionally, NFL analyst. Okay, Mel Kiper Jr., Kurt Warner, Myles Garrett. It said Dan Orlovsky has also expressed positive views on Sanders, suggested he should demand more reps with the first team. See, he trying to get Shedeur in trouble because he know. All right, so I don't know who it is. I don't know if it was Cunningham or it was somebody. It was somebody that we barely hear from. You know how like a lot of Dante Culpepper, Donovan McNabb, Cunningham. What was his first name? Somebody like that. Somebody that you barely see, barely hear from, came out recently and endorsed Shedeur as a dynamic starting quarterback in the NFL, and that's what he should be. So it's somebody that's normally quiet. I don't know. It says AB using his melanin to get melanin on the cheek. That's it. There's no other way to say it, guys. That's just no other way to say it. That's what he doing. That's what he doing. And he didn't say nothing about the way Shedeur was being treated. That's why everybody in the building got to be investigated, including him. It said collusion goes above the owners. Just saying it. That's fine. But hey, you didn't have to do it. Because if my job asked me to traumatize another coworker, I'm gonna go find me another job. I'm not gonna partake in that. I'm not gonna sit there and let it happen. So there's no excuse. Oh, I know it comes from the owners because we saw the collusion in the draft. But what is Haslam? An owner. So that's how he runs his team. That's how he ran his team with Shedeur there. So no excuses. Absolutely no excuses. We know where it come from. But Haslam is an owner. So we talking about him and his team. You ain't finna take down all 32 at once. Get that one. The Washington Commanders was forced to sell. Other teams in the past have been forced to sell for this. I don't even know if it was this bad, but it was for the same type of workplace misconduct is the overall theme. And there's been a lot of that. It said, somebody said something not true. Val, I'm not sure. It said, absolutely, let 12 ball and trade him. Yeah, that's what I say. That's what I say. That's what I say. Check your email. Okay, thank you, Tina. It said JJ was not even the best player on his college team. But it was something about him they wanted, and it's giving Mendoza. And I don't think he was a check down king, but it's the same thing. It has more to do with race and holding back a black quarterback than it does with winning games. Because that's what they did to Lamar. And it's crazy how everybody supposedly is oohing and eyeing about what's his name? Mendoza. But I'm like, y'all been here before. They don't care. The first pick makes $50 million. They didn't want to give Cam the 48 from last year. It's about that. Right? If you black and you get the money, you got to suffer. But you could be white and a check down king, and suddenly that's okay. But no black quarterback can be a check down king and only throw 177 yards in a playoff game with 5 touchdowns. And that's, oh my God, they should be number 1 overall. No. Look what they did to Shedeur, and he was the best quarterback coming out of college. This is about race. All right, Tina sent me an email. Let me see what she said. And then Nikki sent me one too. We're going to read that one and we're going to get out of here. Let's see here. Hey, Nola girl, here's the recent relevant announcement involving the Minnesota Vikings coach and general manager. Contract extensions for leadership. The Minnesota Vikings announced that they signed general manager Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, which is Darian Mensah's last name. I don't know if they're related, to a multi-year contract extension. This ensures he'll remain his role for the foreseeable future with the team. So they have what appears to be a possibly African GM, and they want us to know that they re-signed him. The extension came after the team had already extended head coach Kevin O'Connell's contract earlier, effectively locking in both the head coach and GM as the core leadership of the organization. Okay, well, that's fine. So yeah, I don't know how you can fire him again. I don't know who picked JJ McCarthy, but Minnesota is a train wreck. And the reason why I say it's a train wreck is because they don't want to admit they wrong for picking JJ McCarthy, because that ain't working out. Just like Dylan wasn't working out, but did Stefanski want to move off of him? No, because he didn't want to get the black quarterback to get out there and ball out. That's why I said, let us find out that this robbery had everything to do with you hit that house and make him feel maybe he'll leave. You know, you let that happen. That's a hate crime. All right, see what Nikki sent me. Nikki sent me something too, because I asked the question. Nikki, oh, she was talking about the guy, the white guy. I'm gonna play this. I hope he don't cuss or nothing, because I didn't look at it first. This is the guy on Instagram that I was talking about. And this goes for everybody in NFL, because this is what's going on. Let's see. All right. Hold on one second. Let me run it on back. Let me share it. Let's see. Thank you, Nikki, and thank you, Tina. All right, I'm gonna share this, and yeah, we're gonna get out of here because we passed 2 hours. And I'm gonna go get together the documentary. I want to share the parts of it I want to share. Don't forget, if you're just not joining us, I dropped the link to a documentary in the chat. I want you to watch it tonight. So we're gonna come back and talk about it as a community tomorrow. It is the drug rich gang of 25 people that were indicted for a robbery ring where they would kick people's doors in and rob them, similar to Shedeur. There's a lot there. Go watch it. You see how they did it, how they selected their targets, and it kind of speaks to what they told us about Shedeur's robbery and what they didn't say. So I want you to just kind of watch that, how it really works a little bit, rather than what you were told. Okay, so let me share this. I asked for somebody. I wanted to share this with y'all. Again, if you're just not joining us, I said the NFL is how should I say this? Hold on one second. Make sure I share the right thing. Oh, here it is right here. Okay, so I gotta get back to this and share this part. Oh, I know why I can't see that. Okay, I can't see it because it's opening in a different browser. That's the problem. Hold on one second. All right. And when I share in a different browser, it's possible y'all can't hear it. Let me just see. Okay, let's see. Window. Is this it? Okay, I'm sharing a window. Now, I don't even know if y'all can see it, because hell, can I see it? Hold on one second. See, that is Microsoft. I don't use Microsoft like that. Okay. All right, so y'all can see it, plus a lot of other stuff, but it's okay. So y'all can see it. Let me know if you can hear it. This is good. Let me know if you can hear it. So since you can see it, let me know if you can hear it. All right, I'm pressing play. Can y'all hear it? Y'all can't hear it, can you? Okay. Y'all can't hear it. So I'm going to put it in the link in the chat so y'all can just watch it at your leisure. Okay. I like the beginning of his conversation. Again, I didn't listen to the whole post. It's what he said about racism. He said he grew up in an environment where he was taught basically to be racist. And it's the part where he says, we're not fooling anybody. And we're fooling ourselves if we, think that people don't know we're racist. And I totally agree. And the reason I agree with that is, and I put the link in the chat, and I'm gonna put IG so y'all can know that that's it. He's right, because something happened when boots on the ground was really popular. I actually forgot the hell what just happened, because so much been happening. And they wanted black people to be bothered by it. And I remember people putting out videos saying, it was white people saying, black people are not bothered by your racism. They're so accustomed to it. It's not that they're immune to it. They see it. They just don't let it disrupt what they have going on. That's what Shedeur did. Of course, at first he didn't know. And then he had to get himself together and move accordingly. And he chose not to allow their racism in the Browns organization against him as a black starting quarterback after the racism in the draft. Shedeur, did not allow them to disrupt his career. But that's the one thing they tried to do over and over and repeatedly in Cleveland at the hands of Kevin Stefanski and Haslam allowed. So now they're trying it again with the next class coming in, trying to force Sanders to come in why after he lost a playoff game so he could be a day 2 athlete, but he better than Mendoza. Yeah. And the reason they want to devalue him and they want to devalue Shedeur, it wasn't only about the Manning kid. It was about white quarterbacks being and retaining the majority. So we're actively discriminating and harming the careers of black elite quarterbacks who the fans want to see. And we're willing to dumb down the game to a check down king, which you saw Stefanski do to Shedeur's, and the fans got upset. That's what Tyler Shaw is about. That is what Mendoza is about. That's what Dylan was about. But they didn't even have Dylan as a first or second round check down king. But Mendoza gets to be the first round, and Dylan went to the playoffs. But he's not white and he don't look white. Mendoza's family is supposed to be Cuban on both sides. And if you know anything about Florida and you know anything about some people who are Cuban, they actually classify Cuban people in certain, I guess, factions of society where they ask these kind of questions as white. Yeah. So it's just good old fashioned racism. They let Diego Pavia go back for 7 years. And it don't matter where you transfer in and out from. COVID hit everybody. So Shambliss should have got 6. But he's good. And they want him out of college. The 2027 class is already stacked because black quarterbacks picked up on the racism after Shedeur and decided to go back to school where Dante should go. And what did I say about Oregon? Watch, they try to push him out. And you know how they're doing that? Why are you taking interviews with Dylan Raiola from Nebraska when Dante Moore, your quarterback, hasn't even decided if he wants to come back to Oregon or not? So they are ready to hell with him, which is why I said he need to hop in the portal, get that bag, and go back to school and run it up with a coach he can trust. And all them black quarterbacks need to stay the hell away from there. All right, so I'm gonna get myself out of here. It said he was fighting for all of us, sis. He refused to let us down. I mean, yeah, I guess so, but he said he is playing for a lot of people. So you're right. He put on his shoes, but it was also about letting himself down. I think with Shedeur, this was a personal, spiritual journey. God came to him before the draft because now you know why he was going to need it. You see how they try to destroy him. That's why them other kids going back to school because they're like, Now, I don't know if this Mensah GM in Minnesota is related to Darian Mensah, who is at Duke. He could be. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But they use these jobs with these GMs to say, we're not racist. GMs make a lot of money. But how many black offensive coordinators is it? Did they hire any one yet? Because they whittled it down to 0. Brian Flores, they still ain't give him his job back, and they fired him for being a winning coach because he refused to lose. They incentivized Hugh Jackson to lose. He said they set him up so he'd get fired. So understand, if they bring in McDaniel, who has been, understand McDaniel was fired after they extended his contract. That's why we was reading about somebody's contract, the GM in Minnesota being extended. I don't care about that because Mike McDaniel's contract was just extended. He was supposed to be there to 2028. He's only been there 4 years. He won more games than he lost. And he had 2 playoff appearances in his first, and I'm assuming the first 3 years. That doesn't happen all the time. That doesn't happen all the time. So why he really get fired? Because he black. Because he came in under the Rooney Rule. Yeah. And they hired him to replace Brian Flores, who black, and they fired him because he was winning. And now you fire McDaniel, who won more games than he lost. And you use, while you were losing, you used Tua, who's not white, to fire your black GM. Then you benched Tua, and then you fired your half black head coach because he wouldn't bench Tua. That you probably would let him bench Tua. So you see how they took out a net in Miami, and we really thought we wanted Shedeur to go there. You see, we don't be doing. You see how they took out that one net, and they got the black GM, the half black head coach, and the Polynesian quarterback, and they weren't a losing organization. I bet they were controlling and restricting McDaniel, turning him into a puppet like the head coach, Raheem Morris in Atlanta. Somebody that they had already deemed, we gonna get rid of you. And even when they give you an extension, you're not safe. So I don't know who the hell that is up there in Minnesota, but he better watch his back. Because 2 GMs have been fired, and both of them are black, and they want to have a press conference to tell us they're gonna keep you. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. McDaniel's got an extension too. All right, so we're gonna get out of here. This was good. This was good. Dolphins on some slick stuff, right, Ramon? That's crazy, right? Thank y'all so much, Tina. Thank y'all so much, Nikki, for sending me the articles as we were talking. I appreciate it. Trinidad value will increase after his combine performance. We shall see. I hope it does. I hope it does. Black versus Latino. Facts. It said what? Black get back, brown stick around. Black get back, brown stick around. Okay, Miss Pamela, I never heard that one, but okay. Thank you for that. Thank you, Ramon. We're gonna get ourselves out of here. What was that? Good night, good night, good night. It said I did. It did work. Oh, okay, okay. Tina said something. There was a link. Click on the link that I posted. Yeah. And so maybe take the link, copy and paste it, and go to your browser. Do not forget, please go watch the Drug Rich documentary about a gang of home robbers, if that's what you want to call them, a criminal or enterprise out of Atlanta, where 25 people were indicted for exactly what happened at Shedeur's house. Go watch it. It's very informative. People have already watched it and said it's good. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. All right. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. I appreciate everybody. Thank y'all so much for hanging out tonight. This was great commentary. Made it to 230 people. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all tomorrow. And if y'all have any comments, feel free to email me. I've been running around answering everybody's comments, and great engagement. Thank y'all so much. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. Enjoy your evening.